Hi, my name is Dr. Arnold. I'm a dentist in Lancashire, and in this video you're going to hear from my patients talking about how it was living with the Invisalign aligners. You know, people can be a bit worried about wearing them for 22 hours a day. Are they painful? Do they hurt? How is it going to be wearing these aligners? Can I commit to it? So you're going to hear from my patients as they share their experiences.
Yeah, so living with the trays on was probably for the first couple of weeks was a little bit tough, just in terms of getting used to them, taking them in, you know, putting them in, taking them out every time that you want to eat or drink a hot drink. But other than that, when you get past that stage, it was absolutely fine. I didn't even notice they were in. I had no comments in terms of, I didn't even realise you had anything in. I didn't realise you had it, you had anything done. So it was all very discreet, nobody knew.
I think with anything that's new, it's different. But after the initial few weeks, you get used to the retainers. Your language and your speech is altered by them initially. However, you soon adapt, as Dr. Arnold had said that would happen. I was probably more nervous than I needed to be about how my speech would be impacted, but it was fine, and it's been enjoyable, and nobody has actually noticed that I've had the retainers in. So it's on yourself on how you feel when they initially go in. But actually, it's exactly as it's described. It's a discreet treatment.
Living with the braces on had its good and bad. So if you want to lose weight, go and get Invisalign because you can't snack at all. Like literally, sometimes I couldn't be bothered to take them out to eat a chocolate bar or something like that. So I literally would keep them in, and you've got to keep them in for like 22 hours. So I was literally like, oh, for God's sake, I'm the worst snacker ever. So I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? But yeah, I just got into a routine of just keeping them in as long as possible, because I didn't want them to move, and you can feel when they're moving. When you put your teeth back, I call them my teeth, like when you put your teeth back in, you can feel the difference. But it was really easy. I got so used to it.
So the first few weeks, I did miss like snacks. That was probably the worst part for me, because especially driving with work, or if I'm on the train, I'd normally get ready in the morning, you brush your teeth, and it's like I put my Invisalign in, and then, you know, like an hour into your journey, you might be like, oh, could I have a little snack? And it was like a few hours before, because it just wasn't worth at the start taking them in, taking them out, and then having to brush them after you'd eaten something as well. So I think for a good, the first few months, I'd probably eaten less as well, to be honest, but you soon got into a habit of it, and it was fine taking them in and taking them out. It's probably a little bit harder at the start when your teeth are a little, maybe a bit more wonky and they're not quite as straight, but you can see such a quick difference over the months, and when you're changing them as well, it gets easier and easier with time.
So in the beginning, obviously very awkward, very weird, because you're putting stuff into your mouth obviously daily, and you need to be in there for quite a bit. Weird feeling, but at the beginning it was sort of hard to get used to, but after a few weeks of doing it, it sort of settled in and you sort of get used to it. But yeah, like I said, in the beginning it was always a bit weird, but yeah, after that it was fine after a couple of weeks. Yeah, so the first week was a bit painful at first, but after a couple of weeks of getting used to it and putting them in, it was perfectly fine. No pain whatsoever after a couple of weeks. So.
Yeah, so kind of living with the Invisalign at first, it's a little bit difficult, because you've got to get used to it. You've got to get used to wearing it all the time, wearing it every day, and they can be a little bit tight to start off with. But you know, once you get sort of in the motion of doing things and kind of living your day-to-day life with them, it becomes a lot easier. And what I did when I was sort of going out and eating or doing, I'd take a little dental kit with me, like a floss or a little retainer box, just to make sure that you've always got it with you, because you do need to go and floss after you eat, because there's stuff that'll be in between your teeth. You don't want to put your retainers in once you've got that in, because you'll be able to see food in your retainers when you're walking around, which isn't good. So just like, if anybody gets it, just like a little retainer box that's got like a floss or a mini tooth, which is what I took around with me, with a little bit of toothpaste. You do feel a bit strange going into toilets and brushing your teeth, but once you get used to it and you're not bothered what people think, then it's all alright.
First week, where first time putting retainers in, it felt a bit tight. But as that week ended, it was fine, and my gap within a month or two had completely closed. So I was really shocked at the process. But I didn't find them uncomfortable at all. You couldn't see them, no one commented, no one even knew until I was up close, and I actually used to say, "Oh, me Invisalign," and I was quite proud of it.